This is a special episode touching on postnatal depression with Michael and Dom. What was your views and your experiences on postnatal depression?
So for our first child, my daughter born in lockdown, it was relatively okay. And I think that was because we were both there together for the whole year. We spent a whole year together. Yeah. And yeah, I was really kind of able to support, help out. But for our son, I think it hit both of us quite badly. And I think, I really saw a side of my wife that I had never seen before. Yeah. Constantly in a dampened mood. Would often speak about how she just doesn't feel like she can actually look after two children. Yeah. Obviously the hormones are flying everywhere, so you're just trying to manage it, and you're just trying to be, the best support you can, but there's no real antidote. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? You're kind of just going with the flow, and sometimes even when you're trying to help out, it makes things slightly even worse. So I think at that point it was just making sure that obviously my daughter was okay, because it's a transition for everybody. Going from one child to two children, for everybody it's a transition.
Didn't you get married in between that as well?
So I got married. No, I got married before. So I got married before. Then I had my daughter, and then 4 years later I had my son. Yeah. So there were so many transitions, from my daughter now going into school, us moving, leaving London, going into Wolverhampton. So much had changed during that time. I think that was a massive contributing factor to it as well, because my wife was just like, I do not want to move with us having a newborn. Do you know what I mean? And we tried our best to maneuver it, but we ended up doing that, and it contributed heavily. So it was a massive transition for us. Just seeing her like that, it was heartbreaking. But then for me, I felt like I was a participant in that as well. My mood was low. I'm not sure if it was as a result of what my wife was going through, but I felt like I was depressed. I took 2 months off work during that time to support, and I just wasn't happy. Do you know what I mean? It should be, such a happy moment, having a child, and I was just completely down in the dumps. And if I'm being honest, I just didn't know where to turn, because you're trying to support, the primary caregiver of your children, but you're almost stuck in the mud yourself, and you're trying to sort yourself out. So it was a very, very, I'm going to say traumatic, if I'm being honest, time for both of us. And I just had to kind of, like you were saying earlier, just crack on, get through it, and be the best support I can for my wife.
So are you through it now?
Good question. I would say myself, I would say I am through it. I feel like I think my wife is still going through it. But I think we've just kind of found ways to navigate through that. So like my daughter being in school now, going to school every day, kind of leaves some more time for us to have a bit of time for ourselves, as well as looking after our son. And I think just setting new cultures, in one of the earlier podcasts about just expressing how you feel in the moment. Obviously understanding articulation, because that's very important. But even with that understanding that, okay, my wife might have just said something to me in a certain tone, I know she doesn't mean it that way. How do we navigate through that and deal with that? So I think the light is definitely at the end of the tunnel. Good, and I think we're starting to enjoy being parents of two children now.
Do you feel like the first hurdle is like understanding, okay, that I have this, or like something's wrong kind of thing?
I think for me, looking at it with regards to my point of view, looking at it from my wife's, seeing my wife going through it, I think one of the things, it's completely out of my control. There are certain things you can control, and there's certain things you can't, or there's ways you can contribute to potentially helping. But it's about understanding that, this right here is out of my control. These are the feelings that she's feeling and she's going through. The best thing I can do is support in any way, shape or form she needs the support from me. And I think what was good was that, obviously I had to find the time and navigate through okay, I know she's going through this, but I do need to express how I feel as well. So I was picking my points. Do you know what I mean? Sometimes I got it off. It wasn't at the right time. Do you know what I mean? But I started picking my points. Okay, cool. Now I can express how I'm feeling about this, and you can somewhat share the load, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So I think first things first, understanding that there's not much you can do about it at the very beginning, and during that period, trying to create certain cultures that help contribute to you getting to the other end of it.
Yeah, cool. And Dom, how's your experience on that?
Well, I've got to start this off by just saying there's a bit of a reality check here, and I hope we're not going to scare half our audience or all of our audience away. Yeah. But and you may not even believe this, guys, right? But it wasn't. Let me tell you, in terms of sleep and sleep deprivation, we did not have 2 consecutive nights sleep with our 3 boys for 14 years, right? There's a variety of reasons for that. About 14 years of being interrupted, whether that's all the time early on or just them coming in, or one of them in particular coming in, having had a nightmare night after night after night. So 14 years before we had 2 days of sleep in a row. Now that takes its toll. And all the amazing, I mean, even then it takes its toll, but all your kids have to do is look at you in a certain way, or smile, or tell you an awful joke, or repeat one of my awful jokes, whatever it is, and all that dissipates, right? All that disappears, and it's all the love. And that's the most crazy thing I think about parenthood in general, is the things that we can go through. From my perspective, and it's only probably in recent years I think I've even allowed myself to truly think about this, but I think I probably suffered from some postnatal depression myself. I don't think I knew that. I think it was like, I'm going to be resilient and we're going to get through this, and this is tough, but I am tougher, and all that kind of stuff. But as I look back on it, I think I definitely was, and even to the point I think of denial. When my wife, a few years after our first son was born, said, I think actually in that period I had postnatal depression, I kind of dismissed it. I just thought, that's what we all go through. We all go through the sleepless nights, and we all go through the challenges. And it was almost like I didn't even know what it was. But in the position I'm in now, I'm privileged enough to work with a lot of dads who are going through difficult times early on as new dads. Yeah. And the discussions got much freer, and the type of things they're talking about are things that really resonate with me. So although I wasn't diagnosed and my wife wasn't diagnosed, I'm pretty sure it was there. But even then, I don't think I was properly supportive. I think I dismissed it because it was like, I just don't think we're going through this. That sounds way too deep and dark, and actually the reality is I think we were. And it's that isolation that you might feel, even thinking about it yourself, let alone sharing that with other individuals.
So for anyone that's listening, what advice could you possibly give to them if they feel that they, as a man, might be going through it, or as a female they might be going through it?
I would say communication is very important, and I think understanding the season you're in that process. I think there are a lot of conversations I had with my wife where if it was any other time, it would have been fighting, arguing, shouting at each other. But it's understanding that, this is a phase and this is what somebody's going through. Sometimes, I'm saying this in the most loose way. I was the punching bag, and I had to understand, what? She's letting everything out. She's communicating. She's letting it out. And once it's out, I know the outcome is actually going to be better. So I think it's about having that emotional intelligence, as they say, to kind of have an understanding to, okay, cool, this is what you're going through, and I understand this isn't anything necessarily personal. And what I did was just give my wife the freedom to just say and do as she needed, within reason. Obviously not going too crazy, but I just let her have that space, and I think that helped a lot.
Cool. What about you, Dom?
I would say being self-aware and try to remain curious and accept any possibilities. And with a subject like this, it's so important that there is somewhere to take it, wherever that is, in terms of immediate family or community support, wherever. Because bottling it up, like you said, you're a bit of a punch bag. Bottling that up is the worst thing, because it just increases that kind of disconnect, that either us or our partners might be feeding, and of course, unfortunately, a lot of that then goes into the baby, because it's a interdependent relationship. So, what are your thoughts about that?
But in everything, I would say, so my experience is, like I mentioned before, so leading up, especially when my daughter was born, I had alopecia. So I was stressed, the thoughts of having to look after everyone, knowing that there's a possibility that my partner might go through postnatal depression. So I was stressed about that, knowing that, all right, cool, I'm going to have to be the backbone, I'm going to have to be the tough one.
Yeah.
So cracked on anyway, and then seeing it kind of breaks your heart. Like Michael, seeing it, and Dom, I know you necessarily didn't know what it was, but when you see it, it does break your heart. And when you're going through it as well, I think there's times when I was low, and I woke up in the morning like, I have to crack on. I don't have a choice. It does get easier. And knowing that it gets easier, knowing that when you see your friends and your family who've had kids and their kids are a bit older, it gets easier. Knowing that it gets easier, I think that was what I kind of hung on to, is that knowing that one day it will get easier. The kids are gonna, because I think the kids were a little bit difficult as well at times when they're younger. The terrible twos and these things, breaking beds, and do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was a tough time, but once they understand a bit more, they can speak, especially when they can't speak and you're trying to get to know the personality of a baby, and your missus isn't 100% herself. It does get hard, but yeah, it gets easier. But my advice would be to anyone is speak. I only started speaking a couple months ago. Couple months ago, and I mean, like, the weight off my shoulder for the last couple of months has been, I've just felt so free.
Yeah. Well done, you.
So I would definitely say, speak to people, speak to other fathers, mothers, speak to other mothers, go to mothers group, fathers group. I know, Michael, you've got the fathers group as well. It's important to have these things, so important. Let everyone know that it's okay and it's normal. You don't feel like a freak kind of thing. Because even with my alopecia, so I didn't take my hat off for about a year.
Right.
I did not take the hat off for a year. I bought a hat and I didn't take it off until the hat started getting all it started getting rusty. And then I think my brothers knew and everything. When they said, yeah, but he's got it as well. And then, oh yeah, he's got it as well. And I was like, oh, this is, do you know what I mean? I think I didn't tell my mum about it. Told my mum about it. Mum was like, yeah, I've got it. So, and it made me feel a bit more like this is okay. So my advice would be, just speak to someone and find the groups and find the room and the space to speak. Yeah.